Peace. I got to get into some news, for the people. I ain't going to get too much of this, but I want y'all to hear and learn with me so we can, always come together as a community on certain subjects. So this is all learning, fair use for your caboose. My page and my platform is definitely all for educational purposes and research and my belief system. So, peace to the planet. Let's go one time for the one. Oh, one time.
And I hadn't actually heard of Justin White. In fact, there was a listener of my show who sent me a link to one of his videos. That's how I discovered his channel. So I started watching a whole bunch of his videos, and it really has broadened my understanding of what's going on behind the scenes, or at least it presents a very, very plausible theory that's going to absolutely blow your mind if you haven't heard this stuff before. And for me, a lot of this information was new, and because you guys know in the spirit of my channel, that's really what I'm all about, is sharing my knowledge and sharing the things that I have learned with you, because we're all in this process of learning and discovery together. Okay, so what really caught my interest was the whole, he has a playlist called the Trump Time Travel Series, but there are a whole bunch of other playlists. So what I've done is I've gone and looked at a whole bunch of his videos, and I've also checked out some other videos on other channels related to this topic and come up with some information. Now, some of the information, I hope everything in my presentation tonight is accurate. I may make a few mistakes here or there, but for the most part, I think I put together a general gist of this overall theory. But in order to really set the table for that, we have to kind of discuss what's been going on behind the scenes that made time travel itself a fundamentally important part of this plan, according to this theory. Now, the Earth's natural frequency, or heartbeat, as I understand it, is something like 13 hertz. I believe it's like 13.13 or something like that.
Frequency.
As God created it. The Earth, in its original creation, in its original form, had that frequency, a much, much higher frequency than it does now. And I'm going to talk about that, what it is now, in just a moment. And in addition to that, its poles were neutral.
No poles.
And so what happened is, and we've heard a lot about the background of how humanity was enslaved long, long ago by gene decode. But according to this theory, upon discovering everything here on Earth is magnetic, and because their very existence depends upon a highly polarized atmosphere and the feeding off of humans, both on an energetic and physical level, requires a low vibrational frequency on whatever planet they inhabit, the negative agenda aliens used their advanced technology to create what's called a soul trap for humanity on Earth, a matrix, if you will, by magnetizing Earth's poles and gradually lowering Earth's frequency to almost half of what it once was. So these negative agenda aliens, they sought to trap us here and to keep us trapped here. And they blocked the original crystal sun. By the way, you've heard Gene Decode talk about this on my show.
Bugs, man.
So they blocked the original crystal sun, which had many purposes, which conflicted with the plans of God's enemies, of course. So to block this crystal sun, according to Jensen's videos, has already exited this matrix on schedule before the fall. So basically what we have is a simulation of the sun. We have this wall of flames, but really the true sun is the crystal sun that has already ascended. Now, it's important to understand that human beings were created by God in 5D, essentially. Like Adam and Eve before the fall, they had the 12-stranded crystalline-based DNA from higher levels of consciousness, and we were, in essence, as a species, left to our own devices. Naturally compassionate and trusting as we are, and left to our own devices, of course, we were very easily manipulated by the cabal. And what they've done, and I've talked about this in some detail, is they've kept us entirely transfixed on stimulation from the five senses rather than seeking within for guidance, for peace, for direction, and so forth.
There's more than five.
So the Q movement.
We lost 600.
All right, so I don't want to get too deep into his ideologies. There we go, but they they coincide with my beliefs and all our belief systems. If you really think about certain things, so you take this, like they say, with a grain of salt. You do your own research, your own investigation, like me. Or we can, continue this research together and, find peace and happiness within, and also understanding, God's creations, Allah's creation, the higher forces, whatever you want to, put a label on, the higher self, the whatever you want to do when, call it. I have my names, you have your names, you have your spirituality. And that's why you have to find the self, know thyself. And this way you won't be like stirred. You stick to what you're channeling. We're all on different frequencies of consciousness. So we're all trying to get to that one, where heaven is. And well, let's build. But I definitely like that news channel. And I'm going to definitely keep y'all in line and in tune with what I'm doing. So before I go off and start rambling, I'm going to say peace and love and light to all humanity. Let's go. That frequency is definitely getting lifted. One time for the one time.